welcome back to the podcast, everybody. It is the season finale of In the Company of Charity podcast, your favorite podcast by the Daughters of Charity, the only podcast by the Daughters of Charity, to our knowledge, although maybe the international company has some other people doing this. None that we're aware of, though. Welcome, everybody, and welcome my favorite and best co-host, Sister Elizabeth Greim. How's it going, dear sister?
It's going really well, sister. We were just chatting before, as we usually do. We get ourselves going before we start recording and realize we should be recording this.
Yeah, just press start.
Just press start and let's get going. Yeah. So we were talking about, as you say, this is our last finale for this season, which is crazy that we've completed another season. And then getting ready for the next season. And in the meantime, we will be traveling like crazy women, fulfilling the mandate of St. Louis de Marillac of many comings and goings. I'm away right now. I'm in Albany, New York, doing some virtues training with our sisters. It's a whole thing. And also going out to Macon, Georgia to do a day of retreat. And when I get back, I'll have a few days before I think I head out for Pine Bluff to do some work with DePaul USA. So, yeah. And then to California by the end of August. So there you go. Match that, girl.
So the month of July, I think I have been at home at our house in Baltimore. By the end, it'll be like 4 days, I think.
Wow, you got me.
So unbelievable, but in the best way. I mean, I've been dying to share this with you. Of my life over the last few weeks has just been so fun, and it's summertime, and in vocation ministry and working with young people, summertime is prime time for camps, service trips, and retreats, extended retreats. So a few weeks ago I did Arlington Diocese Work Camp, which was approximately in total 1,300 people. We took over a high school, a middle school, and an elementary school, all in the sort of western Winchester, Virginia area. And boy, that was just mind-blowing, being on program and helping with that. And I was the wake-up call girl, getting people over the intercom, which didn't work very well. The system was a little janky, but we made it work, and playing some silly songs and getting people awake. And
I was going to ask, how did that go over? You must have been like the pariah of the group. There she is, the wake up.
No, they didn't even know it was me. That was the funniest part.
Good.
Most everybody didn't.
That would have been vocations ended right there.
But I got to hang out with the coolest people. Steve Angrisano was there. There was another musician who's super cool who was there. Yeah, Arlington Work Camp is a well-oiled machine, and it's fun to be a little tiny cog in the whole machine of it, because it's just so good, so well done. And we had a blast, and I know a lot of people from over there, seeing people from college and kids of people I went to school with. And yeah, it's just so funny to have a young person come up to you and be like, my mom went to college with you.
That's great.
I am that age now. Yes.
Yes, you are.
But absolutely delightful. And then I just got back yesterday from Damascus, Catholic Youth Summer Camp. And it was, again, just different, not a service experience, but it was more campy, of the lake and the high ropes and the archery and paintball. And let me tell you this. Sister Kara Davis went with us. Shout out to Sister Kara, who was an amazing trooper. They did this capture the flag, because everybody had a color. There were 4 different colors. And of course there's chants for the colors, and, everybody's in a competition. And so they had this capture the flag competition where there was a jail. If you got your flag taken, you had to go to jail and wait until the flags were ready. And so Sister Kara, genius, made a cardboard poster that said prison ministry, and she and I went to the jail and comforted the sorrowful as they had to wait
Oh
before
my
they could get
gosh.
back in the game. I'll send
That's
you a picture.
brilliant.
It
It's
was
brilliant.
so daughter of charity. I was like, this is just unbelievably
And
brilliant.
I'm so happy to hear it was Sister Kara Davis, because Sister Kara Davis and I share one very special thing.
What's that?
We were born on the same day, not in the same year, not in
Yes.
the same year, but on the same day. And so there was a lot of energy on that day, apparently, to have remarkable people born. Yeah. And
Oh
prison
God.
ministry people. I love prison ministry. I'm so excited. So shout out to Kara Davis, and thank you, sister, for being a witness.
The
And
daughter of
happy birthday,
charity.
by the way.
Yes,
Happy
happy
birthday.
birthday to her.
July
The
7th is our birthday. July 7th.
the legacy to Damascus of the Daughters of Charity is prison ministry for Capture the Flag.
So can you tell us where Damascus is? Because you weren't at the Damascus. You were,
Yes, so we
yeah.
were we were in Damascus, which is in Centerburg, Ohio, not too far from Columbus, and it's a one of a kind. Really, they have the main campus. There's one other camp that they kind of rent for part of the summer. But breaking news, they are going to have a second campus, and guess where that campus is going to be? Summit Lake, Emmitsburg, Maryland. Woo!
Wow!
So
Emmitsburg. Emmitsburg.
Emmitsburg. So good. Yeah, they actually went out and had a mass there a couple months ago that I was able to go out for and see some of the folks that I knew from December when I went to an event there. And so yeah, great. Again, very well organized. The camp counselors are young adults, college students. They have full time missionaries for 2 years. They have staff that, they work for Damascus. And just, yeah, what a lovely experience. And for me, as a daughter of charity at a summer camp, it really helped me to when kids would come and talk to me, or there were different prayer experiences where a kid would come and ask for prayers or want to talk, and it just it helped me see that I, as a daughter of charity, can serve the poor, because everywhere we go, in a group of 100 or 500 kids, statistically there are going to be kids that have had it rough in their family situation or in relationships, or at school or with their mental health. And so to be able to talk with some ones that needed an ear, needed someone to listen, and to be able to pray with them, it was an absolute privilege. And I think that was a gift to me, to be able to flex that muscle as well, that I've missed in some ways, of not being with folks who are, what would you say, like poor in the outward sense, I guess you could say. And so has been a real gift to me, and a privilege. And you really, as well as I do, when someone allows you into their space and allows you into their heart and their experience, it's holy ground, and Jesus is present. And it was an unexpected grace to be able to be pastoral in that way for some of the campers. And God bless them and their courage and their vulnerability to be able to share some of those things, and to let God into their experience and their suffering and darkness. So
Yeah, it's
um,
kind of like being the servant of the servants. These kids have agreed, put themselves out there, to be of service to others, even if they're struggling, like you say, struggling themselves, maybe at home or in their own being is struggling with the awkwardness of being young people today. And so to be there to help them deal with themselves while they're trying to help someone else really is also a big lesson. So we have to take care of ourselves. We have to be attentive to our own vulnerability when we're working with other people, when we're ministering or when we're being of service, so that I don't get in my own way.
mm,
And that's a great service, because I'm sure that their commitment to being available to others was empowered because you were available to them. It's beautiful. Yeah. And I do remember service camps with a particular school, which you attended, Mary Washington College out in Kentucky, and having that same experience of realizing I may not be here to put a new porch up. I might just be here to kind of help the dynamics of what's happening around, so that the new porch or the new ramp or the skirt under the trailer can get put on, yeah. So that's beautiful. You have really been out there. Any other trips? Where else have you been?
Yeah, so well, the next thing coming up is not direct ministry, but it's a training that I'll be going to with some other religious for learning how to do the behavioral assessment, which is going to be really fun. 3 full days of learning how to ask some of these questions to get background on people who are applying to enter the community. And so this is something that all the vocation directors get trained to do. And again, sacred time of sharing and learning and growing with a young person as they're really, I mean, this is for serious discerners who are then applying for a pre-postulancy for us. And it's funny because Sister Sydney, shout out to Sister Sydney, she probably doesn't listen to this. She's a Salesian. We spent the week together with Sister Kara at Damascus summer camp, and she is also going to be at this behavioral assessment training in Leavenworth, Kansas. And so we'll get to hang out for 2 weeks with my favorite Salesian that I know, and other religious too will be there. And then when I come back, it's Fiat Days with Arlington Diocese. So Fiat Days is a vocation summer camp, which is about 5 days long. And for young ladies who are at least open, not necessarily like sign me up because they're high school kids, right? They're not necessarily ready to enter tomorrow, but these young ladies who are searching God's will and at least wanting to learn how to pray and meet some sisters to help them get to know us and realize that sisters are fun and interesting and normal. And well, most of us are normal, not every.
I would say, wow, that was a statement. Yes. we are normal. We are normal on the range of normal.
Yeah, across the board, we're pretty normal. But people think, sisters just pray in the chapel all day and they're so holy and they never had a past or they never swore or had boyfriends or whatever, but we all have, and so that's it's helpful because you're throwing the football, or I'm learning all kinds of new games and different things. And so we're going to have some crowd challenges that one of the young adults and myself are working on. Post dinner group challenges is our little duty for the week. So it's going to be fun.
I can just see our next provincial meeting when Sister Liz decides that she's going to challenge us in some
Everyone
new
gets
games.
A color. Blue, blue SA. I was team blue, so they chanted blue SA, blue SA. Too funny.
Wow. I feel like my travels have been very interior, more interior and academic. Yeah. So I was I was in Chicago for a while, for a few days, preparing some trainings because I'll be helping out Paul USA with their Vincentian formation for the staff of the 11 different, or really 12 or 13 different missions, works that they have in 11 different states. So doing some Vincentian formation with them. I feel like probably what I've been doing is right in my wheelhouse of right now. As the seminary directress, the focus, of course, is formation. And I have a year off. So like we say, anyone who's listening, if you are on the fence and leaning toward entrance, give us a shout. Talk to Sister Liz.
Get in now while Sister Elizabeth is still at the seminary.
I got an empty house right now, so I'd really like to have some company. But we do have 2 wonderful postulants and pre-postulants, so there will be sisters coming. So in the meantime, I really feel like part of my ministry is to keep the house open, prepared and ready for them, And so I've been doing some research for some new courses, elements of the curriculum that I'd like to add. We realized that this year is the 175th year of our province, of the
Yes.
American province, the unifying of the sisters who were in Emmitsburg, living the rule of the Daughters of Charity, having been given to Mother Seton. A long, long story, but
I'm
and so
dying.
in
Last time
18,
we were together, you were in Emmitsburg doing
I
some
was
research about the first seminary in the
first
United
seminary, yeah,
States.
of first seminary of the new province of the United States. At Mother Etienne Hall, 1850, or visits Paris, a very exciting experience for her, having to take a boat over, 1850, you can imagine. Kind of has her own Vincentian experience of being taken to different churches and places that are important to us in the memory of St. Vincent de Paul and St. Louise de Marillac. Very similar to what a sister would do now in a Vincentian session. Where did Vincent preach? Where did he first get the inspiration of the Charism? And Mother Etienne in the 1850s was able to do that with a couple of other sisters. But then later, a couple of years later, a few years later, a sister who was British, she came from Great Britain, she was sent to be the first directress, sent by Paris. So she was sometimes called the Paris seminary directress, because there had been directresses prior to this, because the sisters had, of course, formation under Mother Seton. Anyways, it can get kind of in the weeds and complicated, but
I am here
it was,
for it. I
yeah,
am
it was
here for
really,
it.
she's really fascinating. Her name was Eliza McDonough, Sister Eliza McDonough. Also, her religious name was Genevieve, and she had been in Alexandria on mission, like a missionary in Alexandria, and was brought back to Paris to prepare to come to the United States. And I have to thank Sister Marie Ra, who is in England and part of the province of Rosalie Rondeau in Great Britain. She wrote a book about sisters who entered before the province existed. And so, again, this kind of weedy stuff, but before the United States or Great Britain or Ireland were even recognized as provinces, like international components of the Daughters of Charity, women who were American, British, and Irish were entering through Paris. How they got there, why
Come
they didn't even,
on.
some of them didn't speak French, whatever, but the charism hooks, and when it does, you go. So this sister Eliza had entered the company in like in the 1840s in Paris, and she had missions throughout the different missionary places like in Alexandria, Egypt, and was called back to Paris to prepare to come to the United States, brand new province. This was, about 173 years ago. I mean, it just is mind boggling, that she
My
came over.
question, did, did they have to translate her British English into
They
American
did,
English?
yeah. So when she passed away, there's very little about her, like when she got there. She did bring with her, she stayed in the seminary in Paris for about a year or so, taking notes and writing out for herself exactly what would need to happen in the United States as a seminary to form these sisters as Daughters of Charity, St. Vincent de Paul International Company. Prior to that, they were a group in the United States and not connected to the international company yet. So anyway, she brought with her in English, handwritten out, like do this and do that, and they have to have instructions this way, and all the pieces of the seminary in that time. But when she died in 1864, at the age of 42, there was a letter written to Paris. It's very quaint, and they just said she was lovely. She was just a great, great person. They all loved her. And there were many adjustments, cultural adjustments, when she came to the United States. You can imagine, 1850, where Civil War. I mean, there's things happening around her.
Yes.
And one of the comments was, one of the difficulties was she could not understand us and we could not understand her. And, and I don't think those were cultural understandings. I think they were accent, probably understandings. And so it just made me laugh because I realize as a sister from New England, I entered in Emmitsburg, which was the southern part of our province, sometimes when I was in Georgia or Arkansas, and I had a full-on Boston accent, no one could understand me either. So I was commiserated with her. I got it, I really got it. I'm sure she didn't say "ka" and "pak" and things like that, but I'm sure there were times when people didn't understand a word she was saying. So, anyways,
English is one of those languages, right? And
yeah,
you can have a
yeah.
lot
So,
of different
it's
accents.
sometime once I get this all a little more organized and the story, really condensed, I'd love to talk more about her and the beginnings of our province as recognized within the international company of
Well,
the
and
Daughters of Charity.
I mean, it just springs to mind for me, at least, the way the current province is in Kenya, because uh, those native sisters entered at the same time that I did. So we are all getting close to 18 years vocation in the
Wow.
company. And so it's going to be, it seems, and you can sort of add to correct me if I'm wrong, but that eventually they will have sisters able to be visitatrix, be
Mm.
sister servants. Obviously they can be already by virtue of their age and community, but um eventually they'll be their own province. And
Mm-hmm.
thanks to the sisters in Ireland who spearheaded all of that initially, and then many other English speaking sisters that served there. One of our sisters is there now, Sister Ellen LaCapria, who is serving over there in Kenya. And so it's kind of cool to kind of think of that now is what happened here initially, in the
Yeah, yeah.
foundation of the company
It's
in a new country.
yeah, it is interesting to see the development of the way in which the women involved take on the charism. And I think, one of the things I've come to realize even more as the directress and having to communicate who we are to our youngest members, sisters who are just entering the seminary, and even our sisters under vows, who haven't made vows yet. That sense that they're part of something really dynamic. They're not entering an archaic or older, well established. It is well established, but kind of like this is it. This is you're entering this body, but
Mm.
they're really entering a dynamic movement of the spirit. The charism of Vincent and Louise today is lived out in the way it needs to be lived out, because the charism itself is a living kind of
Breathing.
organism,
Mm.
of the Holy Spirit, and we are infused with it, with the Holy Spirit, as much as Vincent and Louise. Vincent and Louise felt that charism of service to the poor, the charism of building up the kingdom, so that all people, regardless of their status in the world, can know that the kingdom is for them, right? So that
Mm.
recognition, and so here we are, almost 400 years later. Well, 400 years since Vincent really promoted this charism, and St. Louise started hanging out with them, and then in 1633 brought us together. It hasn't gone away. It's not like the Lord said, okay, well, 1633, that's good. The charism's alive, they'll take care of it. But it continues and continues to breathe new life into what service of those who are vulnerable, who live in poverty, really looks like. What does it look like in the different places where we're in? Different countries have different ways. Um, and that, like the Gospels, where we need to spread it around the whole world. you know there
Mm.
is no place there is no place where there is not a poverty we can address, and be of service to. So yeah, that's exciting to me. And I think realizing that Sister Eliza McDonough probably had absolutely no desire to come to the United States or any understanding of what that may have
Welcome.
meant. Welcome to Emmitsburg, Maryland. I imagine you think you come into the United States and, you might think New York or something even in those days. And you come to Emmitsburg, Maryland, which is much the same as it is now, a very small town in the
Frontier.
mountains of, yeah. And so it's exciting because you think, oh, this is a missionary sister who came to help us get started so that we, for the last 175 years, could serve those who are vulnerable and disadvantaged, displaced, those who are just suffering and need a friend. We've been here all this time, and that to me is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So
Yeah.
stay tuned for season 8. We might hear a little bit more about.
Yeah.
I was looking back at some of the episodes from this season, and really that Santa Barbara series where you interviewed some sisters from California, and then also the archivist over there. It's just so cool to the westward expansion, the community in its infancy in the US it's really neat, and it feels like in our little podcasts that we're resurrecting in some sense some of these things that haven't been well and widely known by most sisters, and so it's kind of fun to be a part of that.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and hope this year to be able, this next season, to do a little more of what the journey to California meant and what it was like, but also all the places in between. I mean, we were in Mobile, Alabama in like 1830 something. I remember the exact date, but I mean, how these women from Emmitsburg and women who found the congregation, the company there, and entered, similar to Sister Eliza McDonough. She would get it because here she is, a woman who lived in a country where Daughters of Charity weren't really known, and she's in another country and joins this community and then gets sent literally all over the world to be of service. And, realizing that our sisters in the early days had the comfort of being in a very safe place like Emmitsburg until Civil War broke out, right? But then were sent to places they might never have imagined going. Utica, New York, Buffalo, New York, Alabama, Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, San Francisco. I mean, who would have thunk that, I mean, I get like, oh my gosh, I have to go out to California. It's going to be a long plane ride, They walked it.
You're not in a Conestoga wagon. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we have to really, and I think that's one of the things I feel is a part of what I'm going to do this year. What's calling to my heart to really lean into who we are in the United States as Daughters of Charity, and how that charism has lived and grown and flourished and has served in the company and helped to serve the world in that way. And so my hope is when all of you who are listening and discerning and want to become Daughters of Charity come, you'll have this very robust, seminary experience.
I believe it.
I'm all about it right now. All about it. But I've also been helping our sisters with other formation, our sisters who are not in initial formation. We've been doing these formation sessions prior to sisters going into their 8-day retreat. And I know there's a number of us who've been talking about the Liturgy of the Hours. Sister Chris Muir, who we heard a couple of episodes ago, talking with the sisters about the Liturgy of the Hours. I just did one on the Examen as it's viewed by a Daughter of Charity, called the Review of Life. So we're really trying to see that idea of formation as we know it, a lifelong experience, right? Just like when you make your vows for the first time, it's not over. It's really beginning in a new way. Yeah. So anyways, I'm excited. I'm in Albany, New York right now, heading toward Macon, Georgia, to do a retreat day with DePaul USA. So
It's no longer where in the world is Waldo or Carmen Sandiego. It's where in the world is Sister Elizabeth Greim
And
and
Sister
her.
Liz Sjoberg, right? We're like ships
Yes,
passing in the night.
that's right. And you know
Yeah.
what's great is people are still coming. You know, we
Oh,
alluded
yeah.
to it earlier, but we have two postulants coming in, Irene and Nikayla. Very excited to see these young ladies take the next step in formation in the community and see what the Lord has for them in this time of discernment, and a couple more pre-postulants coming along. So we're very blessed, and to see solid Catholic, prayerful, just people who want to serve and love. It's cool because we love it, and so it's fun to see that other people really resonate with this life. And I was talking to a young lady this past week and just telling her about the privilege it is to walk with people in their darkness. And I said the phrase about it's holy ground that we're stepping on into when people allow us into their hearts and their lives. And she was like, her eyes just got so big, and she was like, I've never thought of it like that before. And it's just, it to me, this is like everyday life is, like, okay, Lord, where am I going to find you today? And then at the end of the day, thanking him and looking back on the day to say, okay, where were you? And show me what you're teaching me, and all of that. um this is our language, this is our life. And so to see that be a revelation or a new learning for someone else is fun, because it's so life-giving to us. And I think it has a lot to give to the world, to help people see that serving others isn't just something nice because we have extra. It's a call, and it's actually part of our salvation in Christ, to bring others along with us in this walk.
Yeah.
So we're
And
very
that
grateful.
it's a lifelong commitment. It's a lifelong energy that we receive when we say yes every single day. As you said, when we were talking about our examen, that idea that I reflect on where I've been that day, how God has presented um, the needs, of the world at the time, and how I responded to those, and maybe I need to do better,
Mm,
um, and
mhm,
not do better in the sense that I fail, but how could I keep my heart open to all the needs of those who the Lord presents, or how the Lord comes to me in the day, and give Him thanks for showing up,
mm,
hanging out with me, and letting me be of service. But in the end, being able to be faithful to that fidelity of saying yes, like, well, however the day went, good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to be up here tomorrow too. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be available in the way that the Lord needs. And it's a really powerful commitment, and one that can be incredibly life giving and sometimes daunting, but thank God for community, right?
mhm.
That helps us take the next step when we feel a little tired, or feel like maybe I'm not doing the best I can, or maybe I'm not cut out for this. And somebody's there to say to you, "Oh, you got this. You got it. It's good. You're great. You're helpful." It can be really, really inspiring and life giving, and all the things that we want in life. Uh, and we try to sometimes look for it in other places, like what I have isn't enough. It's more than enough. Um,
Right. And
yeah.
there's never been a better time to work on your spiritual life than this time in history, when there is so much that's
Mhm.
available, including, this is a segue into our new app. We have updated the Daughter of Charity app online, both on Apple and what Android? Come on, Apple and Android. So
Android.
yeah, you can get this app. Don't you see? It's
It's,
a
I don't think
beautiful.
we're just talking. They can't see that.
Oh, that's right. Excuse me. So when you when you go to your app store, just look for Daughters of Charity, and you're going to see the little light blue square with the heart in it, and that is us. Get your new app and check it out. The podcast is on the app also. So if you want to listen to it on the app, or you want to listen to it on your own Apple or Google Play, feel free. But we are doing some new stuff, people. It's pretty fun.
It's exciting. Definitely exciting. We're so much good stuff in a world that is really struggling. I mean, we can't forget to say we just need to pray hard for those who are struggling and suffering in our world today. And we can't let our guard down in praying for those who are fearful, who are in the midst of war and violence, and just trusting that the Lord will help us sort this out and help us to be peace-loving, nonviolent people, and staying connected in ways like this, listening to one another, talking to one another, allowing people to speak out, on this podcast about what they're doing to be of service to others is a way that we can use these airwaves, as they say in the radio business, to send out messages of love and of peace and of nonviolence, of compassion and empathy in a world that seems so angry. So angry. I just pray every day that the Lord softens the hearts of those who have grown so cold and hard, that we can just be a world that resembles the loving Jesus that we know. So that,
for sure.
Yeah. So an app can feel like a very contemporary kind of thing, Some people get a little like, ooh, they have an app. But we need to use
use your powers for good.
Yeah, everything for good. We have to get out there and get the word out that love and peace and nonviolence, true empathy and compassion is the way towards salvation for the world. That's my preaching, my little.
Amen, sister. Snaps for that. Well, and I just think that's a great way to wrap up today and the season. It's been a real privilege to bring some of these stories, this content. I think we frequently say, like, should we keep doing this? Does this are people enjoying this? And so you have to let us know, people out there. You gotta like us, subscribe, etc. Send us a message, write a review. That would be nice. Give us a rating, etc. Got all the plugs, right? Get all the plugs in.
All the plugs.
But most of all, we're just grateful that you're listening and happy that you support us and that you find this valuable. It's a gift and a grace, and we certainly pray for you and your needs, your families, all the things you've got going on. Each one of us has a cross that we're bearing, and so we want to be here for you. So if you have any prayer requests or suggestions, you can always email us at companyofcharity@gmail.com. And we will be back at the end of September for the Feast of St. Vincent de Paul. As always, we try to begin our seasons near the Feast of St. Vincent. And I think we've been brainstorming and praying and thinking about what should we do? What topics should we cover? And there's a lot of good ideas out there. So we are going to keep it coming and just being present and pleasant. That's our idea here.
Oh, now we should have that. Present and pleasant. That's us.
We got this.
Love that.
We got this.
That was the Spirit. That was the Holy Spirit. That's how we're going to open season 8. Here we are. A season
present and pleasant.
Present and pleasant.
Put your smiles on, people. We got this.
That's right. Can you hear me smiling? Can you hear me?
All right, y'all. God bless you. We'll see you in September. All right.